I make a special appeal to social media companies and media outlets. Please deal with the misinformation and disinformation that's on your shows. It has to stop.
Sense of me, you will never stop the free. Thinking that's gonna shut you down. Post the truth, they go to town. Sense of me, kick me off of every platform. I'll just go to get a gab and rumble. Now you can't stop me. I think we all see it, but cannot believe it. The glint in our eyes as we look at the sky to see that it's falling and people are calling. I think we all know that the end is nigh. But how can it be? The people is me. I posted a tweet and it got deleted. Don't look at me like I'm conceited. If you conceded, then tell me why you stuck on the YouTube, then on the Facebook, calling it meta. We fed it the cheese, I mean fed it with cheese. They wanna release all of your data to screw up your piece. They censor me, then take liberty. Don't even let me post up with the need. Album to blast, they gonna ban that. Take it up, genius, you can't even read the lyrics of Brandon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages from all across the world. You are now tuned into the Chandler Brief, your favorite place to get the news of the day all together, where the dress code is, of course, business casual. It is a great, beautiful, and dare I say in Georgia, sunny Friday. Today's date is March 4th, 2022. We're going to have a great time breaking down the news that we have going on in the world today. But first things first, before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to our Hall of Heroes and all the people that are tuned in with us. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button to support the stream. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Shout out to Teresa and all the other folks we're going to have tuned in with us. Shout out to my folks over on Rumble, my folks that are going to be watching this later on all of our different platforms. It's nice to see all y'all. Let's just get started with the news of the day. And our very first story is a big one. In fact, it was so big that it's just like a last minute addition to the news for today. But I've got a few stories here before we jump into our anchor story, which is the fact that Russia has now banned Facebook from operating within their borders. Now, what this entails fully we'll have to see in a minute. But this is news that came out just about an hour ago. Just about an hour ago. This is what Jack posted. Jack Posobiec posted this. He's a great source for some breaking news. But of course, we're not just going to trust a tweet, right? But let me just trust another one real quick, because apparently, not only did they ban Facebook, but they are now banning Twitter and the BBC. Okay, so you're like, Chandler, come on, give me an article for this. Forbes has a story about this. Russia bans Facebook, charging it with discriminating against Russian media. Yes, that's right. This does indeed connect to the previous story that came out about Russia Today receiving censorship and other things. And you have to be reminded, Russia Today is a Russian government-funded organization that brings news to the people of all across the world. Russia Today, but they also have Russia Today America. I believe they had a European branch, all these different things. They had these different sources, and they faced all this discrimination and censorship that, well, now Russia's striking back. Russian regulators on Friday blocked access to Facebook across the country, saying it was in response to the platform's decision to limit access to Russian media, according to multiple reports. We will continue to do everything we can to restore our services so they remain available to people to safely and securely express themselves and organize for action, said Clegg, who appears to be the Meta spokesman. So there you go. And the ban has been confirmed. Soon, millions of ordinary Russians will find themselves cut off from reliable information, deprived of their everyday ways of connecting with family and friends, and silenced from speaking out. The problem is that Facebook has done the exact same thing against different groups. They have struck people down from their platforms simply for what they believe. So why isn't Russia going to do the exact same thing? I don't know. If you're comparing Russia to big tech, it's not that bad of a comparison. Russia has moved quickly over the last few days to shut down independent media outlets who question the state's false narrative that the invasion was done to combat Ukrainian aggression, while threatening those who spread what it considers fake information with up to 15 years in prison. Meanwhile, Russian state-owned media outlets that have long operated in the West have largely been blocked for publishing disinformation about the war. The Russian government has long engaged in a propaganda campaign relating to Ukraine long before the shelling started, so this is going to devolve into a few different things. Prior to Friday's ban, there had been calls for Meta to pull Facebook out of Russia on its own as a form of penalty on the country, but there were concerns such a move would only further limit Russians' ability to access non-state information, which is true, but I mean, in the end, I don't think they really care. Because, like, they're seeing what's happening all across the world. They're seeing how if they try to board a train in their own, Moscow or something like that on a metro, it's quite a bit harder because Apple and Google have already pulled support for Apple Pay and Google Pay and all these different forms of which they would use to pay. Big Tech had a great grip on their society, and they're starting to feel the pain from that. There's Russian students being kicked out from applying to colleges. There's something about Russian cats being kicked out. And now, apparently, even members of the American government attacking the Russian leader. Yes, that's a real story we're going to be jumping into in a minute. But before we do that, I want to dig in a little bit on this side of the story as well, which comes out of Ukraine. Now, this is rather interesting if I do say so myself. So yesterday, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle of news going all around about this nuclear plant that is in Ukraine that Russia apparently had lit on fire and they were firing upon, and if they had let it explode, it'd be 10 times bigger and worse than Chernobyl. And I'm not going to say any of that is false, but what I am going to say is that there have been some interesting developments about this. The U.S. Embassy in Kiev posted on Twitter says, "It is a war crime to attack a nuclear power plant. Putin's shelling of Europe's largest nuclear plant takes his reign of terror one step further." So apparently some other embassies of the United States throughout Europe had reposted this message and shared it out further because it affects all of Europe. Well, here comes a CNN reporter who is connected to this. It says, the State Department sent an urgent message to all U.S. embassies in Europe telling them not to retweet the below tweet from the U.S. Embassy in Kiev, per Kelly Atwood. If you have retweeted it, unretweet it as soon as possible, said the message. So apparently there's some interesting things going on with this, and that if you propel this message as another embassy in Europe, you might face some issues, which definitely brings into question the validity of such claims that a lot of people have been asking. I don't know. A lot of people have been wondering what is going on through all this. There's been a lot of misinformation, straight up disinformation, and I've told you guys how much I hate that word, but in this case, it does at least apply that there is something weird going on through all this. But something even weirder is how many people are clamoring to the defense of Ukraine and how much they are clamoring against Putin, which is, not to be unexpected, but it's strange to see how quickly and how high capacity it has been. Senator Lindsey Graham, for instance, publicly called for Russians to carry out a Julius Caesar-style assassination of Putin. "Is there a Brutus in Russia?" he said with his accent. Senator Lindsey Graham has called for the Julius Caesar-style assassination of Putin. "Is there a Brutus in Russia? Is there a more successful Colonel Stauffenberg in the Russian military?" Graham tweeted on March 1st. Graham was referring to Brutus, a historical figure who assassinated Caesar, and Klaus von Stauffenberg, an army officer who tried and failed to kill Adolf Hitler. "The only way this ends is for somebody in Russia to take this guy out. You'll be doing your country and the world a great service." In a separate tweet in the same Twitter chain on the 4th, Graham said, "The only people who can fix this are the Russian people," referencing his calls for Putin's assassination. "Easy to say, hard to do. Unless you want to live in darkness for the rest of your life, be isolated from the rest of the world in abject poverty, and live in darkness, you need to step up to the plate," Graham said. Graham is not the first conservative American figure to call for Putin's assassination since Russia launched an unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. Fox News host Sean Hannity floated the idea that Putin should be assassinated during a March 2nd episode. Apparently, some Russians too have advocated for a regime change in their homeland. Businessman Alex Konikin put $1 million bounty on Putin's head, calling for military officers to arrest him as a war criminal. And then there's other stuff about a live blog. The problem with this logic is, it's just going to, literally as the article says, bring regime change. Who's going to step up to the plate? Because assuming some Brutus steps up to the plate as Lindsey Graham wants, somebody else is going to have to step up to the plate of the fallen head. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. And just so happens that that head that wears the crown might just be a little bit more boneheaded than Putin. There's a reason why President Trump has called Putin a very savvy and smart leader on many occasions, because he does very calculated and ruthless decisions. Now, this is a net negative for many people, especially in Ukraine, and even some people who are fighting in the war that are on the Russian side, especially, or to, at least to an extent, people in America that are seeing this. They're like, oh, that's a little scary. But further looking at it, though, can you imagine if you had somebody just a little bit less smart and a little bit less savvy, but just as ruthless in that position? For instance, maybe a military general, or I don't know, somebody that's involved in Russian politics connected to this, that just isn't quite as smart or savvy as Trump or other people say that Putin is. That would be an even worse problem. But it seems people are only looking one step ahead, just like Jen Psaki and the Biden administration is when it comes to the oil and import of it from Russia. Here they are saying they're going to be reducing the import of Russian oil, or at least they are considering it. Let's take a look at what Peppermint Patty has to say.
So we are looking at ways to, and I said yesterday, I believe, that we are looking at ways to reduce the import of Russian oil while also making sure that we are maintaining the global supply needs out there. I don't have anything to predict in terms of what that will look like. So
it really does seem like not only are all these different people in the culture becoming reactionaries and they're wearing more Ukrainian flags than American flags at the State of the American Union. You know, the American isn't in the term, but it is the State of the Union. Union as in our union of 50 states and territories and things of that nature. We're not quite acknowledging that anymore, considering how many Ukrainian flags we have. We are in such a reactionary place that it seems even the government has devolved to such a reactionary position to reduce import of Russian oil. It sure didn't matter before when we were just cutting off our pipelines in America, but we were going to let Russia have a grand pipeline between them and Germany, which thankfully isn't a thing anymore because, well, we're now being reactionary against them, but they had that leg up. We doubled our import of Russian oil in the last year in comparison to 2020 to 2021. But if you say that, you'll get fact-checked by Snopes, and PolitiFact will call you a liar, and then you'll get banned from Twitter for misinformation, right? I'm sure it'll get there one day, but that's just another example of how our culture is devolving with all these things. We're going to keep this subject going regarding gas and oil in a minute, but speaking of keeping the fuel running for what we are doing here, I want to remind you that this show is of course supported by viewers like you, so if you're interested in supporting our content and joining our illustrious Hall of Heroes, which is currently occupied by Saint June and Davini, please be sure to go to the description and consider a one-time or even a monthly donation to support our content. It is right available down there at donorbox.org/support-Chandler. And of course, to remind you once again, we are also sponsored by MyPillow. So if you're interested in getting your hands on one of these very comfortable pillows while also supporting me, the content I create, the truckers who are out on the streets that need a good pillow to go to sleep with, or you just want to get your hands on a very comfortable pillow for your bed, or maybe some sheets or slippers, then go to mypillow.com and use code CRUMP, that is code CRUMP, at checkout for up to 66% off of your order. Unfortunately, something that you aren't getting 66% off of for using code CRUMP is gas. Unfortunately, it's costing a lot. In fact, for the very first time in a long time, in fact, I believe ever, a United States city has hit a $5 gas price average, a gallon. And this comes a week after the Russian invasion, but this has been a long time coming. Citywide average prices for regular unleaded gas hit $5 per gallon in San Francisco, making it the first major city to reach that threshold, experts at Gas Buddy said on Thursday. San Francisco just made history as the first ever U.S. city to reach that average. The city's record is likely just the beginning of a larger trend in California, as gas prices continue to rise across the nation. Several states have reported price jumps of 20 cents per gallon or more in the past week, according to data from AAA. Prices are increasing in response to concerns about potential disruptions, yada yada, invasion of Ukraine, wada wada. As the price of oil jumped, so too did prices at the pump. AAA data shows that U.S. national average cost of a single gallon of regular unleaded gas increased more than 18 cents over the past week, reaching a national average of $3.72. Wow. California has set, or technically 73 if you're rounding it, 73 cents. California has set several statewide average price records in recent days, with another set on Thursday. The current statewide average price of $4.94 per gallon is nearly 17 cents above the statewide average recorded a week ago. But it represents a smaller increase than that recorded in Michigan, where statewide average prices have jumped nearly 39 cents since just February 24th. That's all you can do. It's just take that in the skull, take that in the heart, just oof, right where it hurts. DeHaan told reporters last week the national average for a gallon of gas could hit $4 by April, while the statewide average cost of gas in California could soon reach $5. And it's only 3 cents off, so year round it's there. Some California counties have already been recording above average gas prices, above $5, with major metropolitan areas like Orange County and San Diego creeping closer to hit the $5 mark over the past several days. San Francisco's new gas price average follows an upward trend that began last October when a new citywide record of $4.75 per gallon was set. Okay, people are, all this article is always saying, oh, it's the Russian invasion, all these different things. It hit $4.75 in October of last year. And I could break down the math for you guys again, but I feel like I'm just talking to a wall when I'm doing this, because it's like I've told you guys already, y'all are geniuses watching this show. You already know why the gas prices are high. I'm talking to Biden and Peppermint Saki, who just seem to miss the middle school economics lesson. And they had it better than me. They didn't have to deal with Common Core and basically teach themselves all this stuff. No. They had a slightly better schooling system that was at least a little bit more connected with society. But nope, they just don't get it. Or maybe they don't care. They don't really have to worry about that dollar gallon price at the pump. They're subsidized by you, the American people. So they ain't got to worry about nothing. They ain't worry about nothing. And they're making it very, very, very obvious. But that's why the people are standing up. That's why there's various convoys happening right now all throughout America. Even if it isn't necessarily about gas prices, many of those trucks have hashtag Let's Go Brandon flags, have Gadsden flags, some of them have Trump flags, some of them have F. Biden flags. They've got all those. And they're going to every gas pump they can find, and they're putting these beautiful stickers up. An Alabama gas station manager says he has to remove up to 6 Joe Biden "I did that" stickers from his gas pumps per day. Check this out.
It's this little sticker that's popping up across gas stations all across North Alabama. It's a picture of Joe Biden, and they place it next to the high dollar signs, and underneath it says, "I did that." And while it might seem like a funny political message to some, it could actually cost the gas stations a fine for vandalism.
What?
I take off five or six a day from our different pumps.
So 5, 6 a day from our different pumps. Let's read some comments. I'm actually interested. I remove them as well, but normally I go out in my American-made Tesla, which charges at my home for about $4 a day, for some good old USA-made electrons. Okay, whatever. Didn't the people of Alabama elect a guy, well, it's actually a lady, who thinks Russia needed more farmland because they were still communists? What is that even about? Actually, he doesn't have to remove any of them, okay? I find it strange that people who voted for Biden don't want anyone to know what he's been up to. You'd think they'd be proud of their president. Oof, look at those likes, oh my gosh. Won't anyone think of this gas station manager's 5 or 6 a day? If he just left them there, he wouldn't have to remove them at all. I don't know, I didn't know about that fine thing. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Because, like, if it's your own gas station, you own the property there, you get to decide what graces your pumps or not, right? I mean, I'm sure there's some federal regulations about some things, probably about, gas, unleaded versus leaded, how you advertise things on there. But if somebody puts an "I did that" sticker on the pump, that shouldn't be a fine. But I don't know. I'm no expert on law with, how it's connected to gas stations, but what I do know is that hashtag "I did that" on the pumps is hilarious, and I've seen so many of these beautiful stickers right here, and I cannot wait to see more as people are clamoring throughout the nation to get their last hands of gas and leaving those pumps behind, because I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we're facing shortages. The prices are rising, which means our supply is stagnant, if not falling, with us reducing our reliance on Russia without increasing our reliance on ourselves. We've got a lot of problems. But every time you talk to Jen Psaki about maybe opening up some pipelines or perhaps allowing us to drill for oil within America again and get those natural gas exports back up and running, she scoffs at the idea and says, no, it's not going to do anything for a few years. The experts have said that is not an option. We have to keep the climate change at bay, and that means you will pay $20 a gallon. You got it? You bigot? Now it's time for you to
rub my leg down.
I don't know. Speaking of rub my leg down, Joe Biden has capped off his week. In fact, he is, what's the phrase we used to use? I think it's like put a lid on it, maybe? I think he's put a lid on this week. No questions were taken by Joe at the end of his press conference today, and he's off to Delaware for the weekend. Let's take a listen.
Thank you.
Nothing. No responses. And this is just emblematic of his entire presidency. Airheaded. Walking off the stage. Ain't nobody listening. He's not listening. That's a big problem. It truly is a big problem. It's just his version of playing golf all weekend on your dime. Okay, bro. Come on, man. It's time for the weekend. Go and get him, Brandon. Go get him. Another death in the family. Boy, when it rains, it pours. Time for a nap. Eat some chocolate chip. That's probably, I actually would have preferred that. If you turned around, the lady who was asking about war crimes, he just goes up to the camera, eat some chocolate chip. Because, you know, Biden always likes to whisper into the mic. He's so weird. Get vaccinated. It's creepy. Oh, it's creepy. But not nearly as creepy as this guy on The View today, who went on to say that the Constitution is trash. These are the people that are running your country. These are the people who are, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, the adults that are in charge, right? The adults are back. Yes, let's take a listen.
Some will say, okay, so are you arguing for throwing out the Constitution? Should the Constitution be thrown out? What do we do? Is it a living document? Or is it a sacred document?
It's certainly not.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy? No, see, somebody tell me. Who is this clown? His name is something like Ellis something. Hold on, let me zoom out for a second. Eli? I think that's Eli, who's the justice correspondent for The Nation. What is that? The place for debate on the left. I see. Let's see here again.
We'll say, okay, so are you?
No, seriously, who is this guy? I gotta see him. He looks like The Weeknd with all the little face paint and the prosthetics he got a while ago.
Is it a living document? Or is it a sacred document?
It's certainly not sacred. All right.
Who is this guy?
The Constitution is kind of trash. Now let's just talk as adults for a second.
What did you say?
It's ironic that he says, let's talk as adults for a second, after me just saying, the adults are in charge. Of course, she's wearing her Ukraine shirt, obligatory. You actually can't go on TV without wearing your I Stand With Ukraine shirt. It's just the same as like an LGBT flag in June, or the Pan-African flag in February, or something like that.
What?
It's kind of trash.
Trash.
It was written by slavers and colonists and white people who were willing to make deals with slavers and colonists. They didn't ask anybody who looked like me what they thought about the Constitution.
Daytime television. Let me tell you guys something. But right here on the Chandler Brief, we compete with The View. We compete with daytime television. This is our daytime show. And this is how we take back the culture. By having shows like this. So if you are tuned in with me, thank you. And if you aren't, well, I don't know how you're hearing this, but definitely make sure you keep tuning in to the Chandler Brief every day at 3, where we break down all this news. Our next story, though, isn't nearly as adult or funny as the last one. Nearly. Because it is about Bill Gates. Oh, you know what? Hold on. It won't even let me find a... Hold on. Bill Gates' wife. Because this story is actually, like, terrible. Yeah, so... Ex-wife Melinda says his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein hurt their marriage. And that's why they got divorced, basically. Bill Gates' ex-wife, Melinda, has said the business and technology magnate's relationship with convicted that Jeffrey Epstein played a role in their divorce. The Gates announced in May 2021 that they were divorcing after 27 years of marriage, as they revealed plans to continue working together through their eponymous philanthropic foundation. Almost 1 year later, French Gates has said in an interview that Gates' frequent meetings with disgraced financier Epstein negatively impacted their marriage. She said, "I did not like that you had meetings with him. I made that clear." French said, hold on, she went once because I wanted to see who this man was, and I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent and evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterward. When pressed about Gates' continued meetings with Epstein, she said, "Any of the questions remaining about Bill's relationship, those are for Bill to answer." French, who said that she and Gates are friendly, though not exactly friends at this point, went on to reveal that a number of factors contributed to the end of their marriage. It wasn't one moment or one specific thing that happened. There just came a point in time where there was enough there that I realized it just wasn't healthy. I couldn't trust what we had. But these are the people we are listening to. Bill Gates is the leading factor and the leading expert on COVID-19. He funded the vaccines. He's the one that's in control now. He's the one that's advising us on Ukraine. He's got a very close relationship with the Biden administration. And we're just supposed to bend over and listen, apparently. Supposed to kneel down and listen to them say what it is. I don't know. I wanted to bring all of that to your attention to show you where this nation is at right now. Big thank you to all of our folks who were tuned in once again today for the Chandler Brief. We will be back again next Monday at 3, as we are every weekday, Eastern Standard Time. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all again back here next Monday. Thank you all so much to my people over on Rumble, to my people over on Gitter, Saint June, Teresa, Avery, all my folks who are on these different platforms. Nice to see all y'all. I'll catch you guys next Monday. And aside from all that, I'll catch you next time, free thinkers. Don't forget to spread the virus of intelligence.
Into the light we